What's up, party people? Blowforge here. Today, I wanted to talk about a psychological profile. There are a lot of different psychological profiles that people with ADHD will tend to fall into. One of the major ones, like one of the biggest ones, due to the fact that we crave stimulation at a higher level than normal people, we tend to fall into certain patterns, and they're all basically related to stimulation. One of these patterns could just be an overachiever, right? And this was one of the better ones, not necessarily better because it's like you can get a lot done, but then you might be miserable inside. Another one is just straight up a criminal, and you just kind of like do bad things for a kick, essentially. So that's another profile. Another one just be like a class clown, right? Somebody who's just constantly looking for some sort of stimulation, some sort of social validation, and just kind of bored, basically. But the one I want to talk about today is specifically the person who seems like they're going somewhere in life, but they never actually do. They never actually get started. This is the person who can't hold a job. This is the person that I used to be. It's the person who basically just seems so intelligent, seems like so capable, but never gets anything done in life. And the ADHD does play a big factor in this psychological profile. It's not necessarily exclusive to ADHD, but the problems that we face with ADHD means that you're more likely to wind up in this profile if you have ADHD, essentially. So, who is this person? This person is, well, I'm just going to be brutally honest. They're basically a man child, or an armchair philosopher. They're somebody who is really, really intelligent, and then they have nothing to show for it in their life. They work a dead end job that they were basically forced into by society that they hate. And they're not well. And they're really, really smart, and they're really capable of doing incredible feats. They can be extremely productive when it's time to go, right? Like they can be extremely productive when they actually have an interest and when they are full of enthusiasm. And this person has shiny object syndrome, which is basically always chasing one idea and then the next and then the next and then the next. And they stop what they're doing to go chase a new idea, essentially. And the Bible calls this being a double-minded man. And it says that the double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And it's quite true. You don't want to be this guy. You don't want to be an ideas guy, and that's who this is. It's an ideas guy. Let me tell you why you should invest in my new business. And he's got like a new business every week or every month or whatever it is, a new project every other day. His mind's just going on like crazy, and the real problem, and this is where it gets into ADHD. Why he's like this is because he has an active imagination. He has a very powerful imagination. And I'm going to tell you, like, typically the reason that this person exists and why I'm going to call him like the man child is basically their inner child is sort of locked up in them and basically has them on puppet strings. Like they are basically controlled by their inner child. And the reason why is because this person typically had some sort of trauma at some point where they basically had to grow up faster than was normal. They didn't have like a completely safe environment when they were growing up. They didn't have a good atmosphere to grow up in. And so they basically just had to stop being a child too quickly. They didn't get to ease out of it like other people, which basically created this complex where the inner child is sort of the driver, because what this person has done is put a big blockade between this sort of, you could say it quote unquote, like adult identity, which is basically just masking, right? And this inner child. So this person is basically a child that is masquerading as an adult. And this is not good. And the inner child is an extremely important part of your psychology, and it's never going to go away. It's, you know, the part of you that is creative, that wants to play, that wants to compete, basically. But also, it can also take the form of being lazy, where it's like it just doesn't really want to do anything, just kind of wants to like chill and lounge and laze about and think about things. This person has a wandering mind that they don't really keep on a leash, and this person will do all kinds of crazy and even really cool things just to avoid working. Like, this is the person who is always looking for that next trick or that next neat thing that is going to solve the problem. I think is going to solve their problems. The hard truth is that there is no secret trick. I mean, there's some things that help a lot, right? There's some revelations that you have that are extremely important and powerful and can like totally get you unstuck. But this person is basically always constantly seeking a breakthrough, and it never stops. They're just always seeking a breakthrough. They always have a reason to not do something. They always have a reason to not do something. And other people get really frustrated with them because they see all this potential. Like, they're incredibly intelligent, they're incredibly powerful. And when they have something interesting to work on, it's incredible, like the amount of work that they can get done. It's like they're filled with this unquenchable fire, and they'll just go and go and go and go. And then what happens is the shiny object effect wears off, and it becomes boring. And this is where everything goes wrong. And this is basically the entire problem with this complex of person, is that as soon as the new and shiny feeling wears off, they suddenly can't be motivated anymore, like at all. They suddenly cannot, as soon as it stops being fun and new and interesting, they basically can't bring themselves to work anymore. Like, the part of work that they struggle with is those days when it's basically just like clocking in and out, and it's just boring the whole time. And this person really, they either can't sit still and they're incredibly animated, or they are really, really lazy and they don't want to do anything. And they have no in between, really. Like, this is like their two modes. And they just have a wandering mind, and they're always kind of sleepy, they're very undisciplined, very lackadaisical, and they'll try and play it off in like an artistic sort of way, where they'll be very philosophical and sort of like try to turn it into like an aesthetic of like, oh, I'm such a chill guy, I'm such a chill person, I'm such a, like, they try to make being lazy artistic and intellectual, right? And they basically live in a fantasy world as to how they see things. And this person is, and this is a type of complex, but the driving things that make up this person we have inside all of us. We all have an inner child with creative and playful needs, and we all need stimulation and get bored. And this person typically also has a hero complex, where they really just can't stand to not be overcoming some great challenge, basically, but then they never actually take on any great challenge. or they'll take it on, but then they'll quit as soon as they actually have to put an effort. So, and they'll come up with any excuse, right? But they have a hero complex, and they want people to care about them. They want people to think that they're really awesome. So like if you're this person and you're hearing this and you're kind of scared, like listening to this and you're feeling resistance, that's the first thing I need you to understand is the reason you can't get anything done is because of resistance, and you need to stop fighting it. And that is how you overcome this. So just keep watching the video. I mean, honestly, most of them probably clicked off at this point, but if you're still around, if you want the truth, then just stay here. And that's another thing is this person typically loves the truth. They want the hard truth, but then they'll get the hard truth and not do anything with it, right? So that's kind of the paradoxical nature is like this person is really, really wise. They just can't seem to get over this hurdle of the execution part. And I'm really liking this video. I think I'm going to make a series on each of these different profiles. But the execution part is the hard part for them. And the reason that it's the hard part is because they want their life to be like a movie. That's why they have a fantasy world, is because they basically have this great idea of who they could be or who they will be. And everything they take in, everything they learn, everything they see, everything they do, they basically bring it all back to this fantasy world. And they play with it in there. And they think about the future a lot and what it's going to be like. But their main problem is that they're unwilling to do anything ordinary or boring. That's basically the main problem. They could really do almost anything if they just had the skill of being able to sit with something boring and uncomfortable for long enough. Like they'd basically be unstoppable. So that's it. That's the skill. Okay, cool. How do you actually how do you deal with boring stuff? How do you come to terms with the fact that life is kind of boring and being an adult is boring? Like basically the whole act of growing up is essentially just taking on more and more boring things, and you have to cut out more stimulating and exciting things to actually be healthy as an adult and to grow as a person. How do you stop this? How do you stop chasing the stimulation, the new ideas, getting the shiny object syndrome? How do you actually commit to something? And that's another thing. This person really struggles with commitments for obvious reasons, but like in relationships as well. This person, their main fear in life is that they will miss out on something. They basically have massive FOMO. So they can never commit to anything. They'll never commit to a person, even relationship wise. They'll just bounce around because they're basically looking for something that's perfect. They won't settle for anything that's less than perfect. But the honest truth is that they don't deserve perfect. They haven't done anything to build themselves up as an individual. They do have an incredibly creative and expressive mind. Like they're a cool and charismatic person typically. They're funny, they're likable, they're almost brilliant, but they lie to themselves and they live in this fantasy, and this fantasy makes them incapable of actually doing anything with that. This is the gifted underachiever that a lot of us have heard as ADHD and don't want to be. But then another problem is that once this person is kind of aware of it, they also at the same time become overwhelmed with everything that they have to do if they actually want to escape this. So I'm going to make this a bit easier for you. I'm going to give you a method for how to actually change, how to actually transform, how to get out of this, masquerading inner child thing. So the first step is to just understand that it's your inner child and you're just creative. Like that inner child in you is creative and wants to play. And you basically separated it. And because you're masking 24/7, trying to pretend you're an adult, basically, instead of accepting that you need to, really reflect and look at yourself. But this person has no problem with reflection. They'll reflect 24/7, but it's the doing anything about the reflection. This complex stops them from doing anything. The resistance stops them from doing anything. And the way that I teach people how to deal with this is to look at resistance as a separate part of you and to just call it what it is. Like any excuse, any reason why you can't do something or any reason why you can't stay on task, like basically any reason you have to not be disciplined. And this is the way I don't want you to think about this as discipline. Like, yes, typically this is discipline, but when we think of discipline, we think of trying. And that's why I don't like to use the word discipline, because it invokes a sense of dread, right? It invokes a sense of, oh my gosh, no, I have to try, and that's going to hurt. And the ADHD brain, because we struggle with emotional dysregulation and chores basically feel like 2 times as boring to us as to normal people, 2 times as uncomfortable. It's hard, right? Like it's hard. You see a discipline in red, and it's like, no, I don't want to do that, right? So the way none of my tasks that I do, I think about in terms of discipline. That's the first step. Don't think about things in terms of discipline. Just think about it in terms of you're building your life. And it's a fun, creative project, and you get to build things. And these things are workflows and systems. And you need systems, as someone with ADHD, call them accessibility systems, things that make your life easier because you have a disability, and it makes life hard, okay? And the first step to making good accessibility systems is just understanding ADHD in general. So you just kind of need to learn more about ADHD, and then you can have fun designing these systems, and they're going to break, but you just have to keep trying. And the whole skill is to just be able to sit in discomfort. That is basically the main thing that this person struggles with, is they have a very hard time just sitting in anything discomfortable. Or uncomfortable, my bad. But that's how everything in life gets done. So the way that I like to think about this, the way you can kind of overcome it, is since you know that the whole reason this entire complex exists is because your inner child, and again, I'm speaking from experience, I used to be this person, are bored. You're bored, right? Like you're disconnected from yourself and you're bored. And so you don't need to go on a whole journey to find yourself. You'll find yourself once you start to build your life, okay? Like you'll find yourself once you actually start to do things and things start to actually get done, once you actually start to execute, once you actually build skill, once you actually grow in real wisdom and not just intellectualism. Because intellectualism is not wisdom. What that is bloat. That's basically character bloat, is what that is. So what you need to actually do is start doing stuff. And the way that you can kind of trick your brain into doing this is by thinking of everything as a challenge and taking on the mindset of a sort of hero or an athlete. And there's nothing wrong with this mindset inherently. It's okay to frame things as if you're the hero, or it's okay to frame things as if you're the athlete, and it's okay to try to make things a little bit more spectacular than in reality they are, but just understand that that's what you're doing, and just understand that honestly, adult life is really, really boring, and everything meaningful and powerful and worth having in life basically comes through just doing a bunch of boring stuff over and over, and a bunch of really lame, frustrating, doesn't feel good stuff, and committing to things that feel this way for a long time. And that's how I need you to think about commitments, is commitments are basically projects. So this subtle shift in your mindset will help a ton, because if it's a project, then it's something that you can work on. It's something that you can engage with. It's something that you can tweak and play with and have fun, right? So making things a project helps a ton, like changing commitments to projects. And then just understand that you have a commitment to the project. And this also kind of gets rid of that whole grass is greener on the other side. Once you understand that this is your project, it's your responsibility to make the grass green, right? Like if you don't water the grass, it's going to die. And if you don't take care of the grass, it's going to look bad. So if you want the grass to be green, then it's your job to work on it. That's how it is, right? Not everything is in your control. Like, obviously, I talked about how this person struggles with relationships. Like, you can't, like, I'll just be real. Like, you can't make somebody get hotter, right? Unless you, like, force them to work out or, like, get surgery or something. And it's like, that's not love, right? This doesn't work for everything. If you value the ephemeral world, the unseen world, the spiritual world, more than the physical world, then you shouldn't have a problem with this, really. And you just do what you can. But seeing things as projects helps immensely. Another thing that really helps is, well, yeah, like I said here, just switching things around so it's like you're the hero and sort of playing into it. I'll give you 2 actionable things that you can do, okay? So the first actionable thing you can do is I like to watch a video that puts me in the mood to work, and it's a trigger. So it's the same video every single time. When I know that it's time to work, I'll play this trigger video, and then I'll switch to something that is good for long, sustained focus, a good long workflow is typically what I'll do. There are certain times I want to sprint, but the sprint that's the exciting thing. But if you just start with something like that hypes you up and motivates you, then you don't really need the whole sprint. You can switch to something more chill. And then it's like you got the little hit of dopamine at the beginning, and so your brain's like, okay, we can work for a while. Set realistic goals and understand that productivity is a skill. Like in a video game, you do not get to start out at level 100, okay? Like you have to work, like start off with an hour, just an hour of deep work, and make sure you're not distracted in that hour using extensions. So you have to start off with just like an hour of deep work and then up it by 30 minutes every day or something, just whatever, figure it out. And it's okay. You might fall out of the loop again, but this is another tip I have for you, is if you ever fall out of the loop, which you will when you have ADHD, pretty much everything, you're just going to fall out of the loop eventually. Your brain doesn't care anymore, is just go back to it. Like it sounds so simple, but seriously, just like get back on the horse. You fall off the horse, get back on the horse. It doesn't matter when you realize, like you may have fallen off the horse and then went for like a whole month without even remembering that you were supposed to be on the horse. And then just remember you're on the horse. It's like, oh, I'm supposed to be on the horse. And then make a plan. You don't even have to make a plan. Just get back on the horse. That's it. And then you just keep doing it. Because this is still consistency, right? Like this is still consistency. It's not the same as a neurotypical consistency, but I guarantee that, the more you do this, because we struggle to form habits, but we do form habits still. And so it gets better. Like you stay on the horse for longer the more times you get back on it, right? If you started a YouTube channel and you stopped uploading to it, just start uploading to it again. Like there's nothing stopping you. And then just stay consistent as long as you can, right? Like that's what you do. So that's my first tip. But then also, like, whenever you finish the end of your workflow, watch another video. That in this video is basically your reward video. And so it has to be something that's makes you feel accomplished. And for me, it's a Blue Lock edit. Like, I'll just be honest. But it really, really works. And what I find is that throughout the day, my mind will actually go to that edit, and I'll almost feel like this craving. Like, what I'm doing is I'm basically getting myself addicted to this reward that I only am allowed to have through work, where it's like a stimulating, emotionally stimulating, and it feels fulfilling because I know I just did a ton of work, right? And so, just keep pushing out the workflow to be longer and longer, to get more and more done. Make sure you're taking breaks. Make sure you're using Pomodoro, right? Which that's a whole other video. We'll get into that some other time. I'm back. I'll see you later. But this video can act as a reward, and your brain will start to make the connection, and the fulfillment you feel from doing a day of boring work and understanding that that was the goal and you completed the objective of doing some boring work until you got the workflow down or something, or just coasting through the workflow. Once you have a workflow down, it's basically just sitting down and doing it. And it's like a coasting. There's no more resistance anymore once you forge a workflow. So you have to forge your flow first. That's the difficult part. After you figure out the workflow, then you're okay. Then it's really, really easy, and you just have to sit down and do it, or however often you have to do it. But this video will help you a ton with that, and you're basically will make yourself addicted to doing hard work, which is kind of a hacky workaround, right? If you have ADHD, you may as well learn how to exploit it, right? One last tip for overcoming resistance. I mean, just understanding that resistance has basically stolen everything you ever possibly could have had should be enough to get you mad and make you actually like stand up and start fighting it today. I want to make the point in this video that like, you're not supposed to hate your inner child. You're not supposed to like lop them off and like push them back. Like, that's just going to make it worse, right? Because that inner child is your center, basically. And you're trying to exist in a mask outside of it. So what you need to do is you need to integrate it, and you need to figure out how you can be playful, how you can be the hero, how you can have fun, how you can be this like cool, intense version of yourself that you want to be. And yes, it's still a fantasy, and I'll talk about this in other videos, but just this is a good start, okay? This is a good start, is just getting this so you actually start to get some work done. And then just be careful that you're not living in a fantasy, and understand that you might have a problem where you live in fantasies, where you try to make things more like a movie and cooler than they really are. So if you just understand that and you have that insight, then you can kind of work around it, and you can like mentally check yourself. You can do mental audits. You should be doing a performance review. You can set a timer on your phone, and when it goes off, and it's like, yeah, when you have ADHD, timers don't really work very well, honestly. But again, just get back on the horse. Like, I don't do my self-review every single night. I just don't. But at the end of my work session, the timer goes off. That's when I stop. I switch into my self-review. What did I do good for the day? What didn't go well? Sometimes I miss it. Sometimes I just keep on working, and I like give myself the reward, and then I go to sleep. And sometimes it doesn't always work. But when I have that timer that goes off consistently, and if I remember that I just need to get back on the horse if I didn't do it last time, then that's the next step, So don't think that it's over just because you stop doing it. That's all I've got for you guys today. Actually, I had one more thing I was going to say. Basically, like a really quick cheat code is if you relax your body and then you just imagine yourself doing the task, and then keep imagining yourself doing the task, and you might add a little bit of emotional urgency every time, you will get up and go do the task. I don't know why this works. I think it's self-hypnosis, but it works for me. Something that I like to do is I'll literally like envision my house, and it's like The Sims, and I'll like click on me as the sim, and I'll like click on the task, and I'll just keep spamming on the task until my guy just Utalatahu gets up and goes and does it. I don't know. That's weird, but it makes it stimulating and fun for me. So it works, right? It's just like interesting, makes me laugh sometimes. Like we basically are Sims. Like we just have to like think about ourselves like that and take care of ourselves to keep our happiness level up and to keep ourselves productive. So that's my, I guess, another tip is just think of yourself as a sim. Um, yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you want mentorship, if you want this process to be easier, it's $50. Go ahead and just comment down below that you want mentorship. If you feel like this content was good and it should be pushed to more people, go ahead, like and subscribe. Hit the bell, comment, do all the things that juice up the algorithm so that more people can see this message and break free from this stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. All I have for you today. Go Forge out.